Everyone, welcome to our review of Mashin Sentai Kiramager, the whole thing. This is the full series review for Kiramager. As always, I'm your host, the Frozen Stratos. Here with me today we have
This Cinder Blaze.
a dude. Welcome back. So we got done watching this, I believe, like a week ago, and so did you guys, and we had you guys comment on our review of that final episode, so that you guys can tell us what you all thought. We will be talking about that after, but before that, Cure Mage is really good. It is um it definitely stuck the landing with that last episode. I feel like everything came to a nice sort of crescendo, and it feels very it feels peak modern Sentai, because as of late we've had a lot more, I hesitate to call it filler episodes, but just episodes that don't necessarily service the plot as much, but really service more the characters. And we've just had really strong ones all throughout. And genuinely, I feel like as much as they are entertaining each on their own, they work so much better as a unit. And I feel like that's just the hallmark of a good team.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think like the biggest thing about this show was just like the overall consistency of those types of episodes. Like we've
Yeah.
had basically every Sentai series has like this a similar structure to Cure Major where we occasionally have like plot sprinkled in. I mean, especially for like the modern ones where like our plot is so thin that it's just kind of like
Mm-hmm.
it's veiled throughout various, episodes. But this one just had like knockout episodes like week after week after week. And when we had like a slightly average episode, that's when it stuck out. And we're just like, what the hell just happened here?
Yeah. There was the one real bad stinker, and that was the mangaka episode. That
Uh,
was so up its own ass that it just did not convey what it wanted to properly. But outside of that, it was like solid throughout. Like I get what you're saying. They have a baseline really good consistently, and it was those dips that really got us. But it made the rest of the show even better, just, by comparison.
yeah. And like, I think this show having like that episode zero, like going back to your point about like the whole team,
Mm-hmm.
I love how they kind of like stuck like all like the hype around Juru in episode zero. And then when
Yep.
we kind of like jump into like episode one and we kind of like have that in the background, just having him like hit the team dynamic and then them kind of like shuffling around and like we actively see them kind of like
Mm-hmm.
meld together as a team. I thought that was like pretty neat.
Yeah.
Like for the red being the odd one out and like everyone else just kind of like being like accustomed. We
Mm-hmm.
haven't had that in a pretty decent while, so it was really refreshing to see
Yeah.
this take on it.
I did like how the team did sort of forge themselves together. Like, it took a while for them to become like a cohesive unit, and I think the really big show of faith was that first I guess focus episode with Senna, and it set the status quo in such a refreshing way, that, like, yeah, our jobs are to save the world, but we are at our best when, we're doing the things that we love. Like, and Juru continually brings the best out of people, and that is what he has done throughout the entirety of the show up until the end. Well, I guess except for the villain, because I guess he died just flat out. But outside of that, like, I don't know, they showed that in such a believable way, and
Yeah,
somehow they were able to keep that consistency throughout. It's astonishing, that they were able to keep that up.
yeah. It's really rare for me to see like the
Mm-hmm.
super supportive red. not be like really annoying for me because
Yeah.
like they usually kind of like fall back to like the whole like Nakama power, and they just kind of like shove that straight up the
Mm-hmm.
viewer's ass, and like kids are comfortable with taking that, but like I've been fisted away too many times with shit like that that
Jesus. What? God.
I'm just using metaphors. I'm not being literal with any of this, but it, like when Jiro was kind of like going through all this stuff, they grounded it in their outside lives a lot
Mm-hmm.
more. It wasn't just like kind of like strictly in um, like Sentai issues. It's just like, you know
Yeah.
what, like you're a runner, you're a tactician, you gotta do that. You're like a brilliant actor, you gotta do that. Like it and like him just kind of like being kind of how's it like he appears more insignificant than the rest of them,
Mm-hmm.
but it kind of just like lets them kind of like be
Yeah.
at their best. And
He,
like
he
he's
his strength is um not necessarily taking that back seat, but finding specifically what they need and just making the or at least bringing them to a situation where they can flourish. Like he is the person that typically facilitates that. And it's like what you said, we haven't had like a supportive Red. He did feel like a support character for those major arcs, and he was a big part of it, you know. But a support character to the character episodes, like to
yeah.
get their focus episodes going. Um, sometimes you just pair Red off with the person you're focusing on each week, just because well he's Red, he just sort of has to do it. But his specific function is to bring out the good in them, and it flows so well. Like it's such a good concept uh that they managed to like work on throughout the show.
Yeah, and I really like how early on in the series they kind of immediately contrasted Drew with Tamatomo because like if you're kind of like thinking of like who's actually going to be like leading a team, like his personality would probably fit the bill. And they always kind of like bring it back to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Tamatomo brings it up a lot himself as well. Like, like he's more of like a leader
Yeah.
in like combat situations at least. But Drew definitely proved himself to be the leader of the team.
Yeah.
And Tamatomo like acknowledges it in like a real genuine way. And
Yeah.
I think I really appreciated that. It's not just like, well, he's Red, he's the most energetic. He's just like, no,
Mm-hmm.
like he's the leader in specific things. And when it comes to tacticians and stuff like that,
Yeah.
Drew lets Tamatomo do that.
Yeah.
Like,
And
and,
like I feel like not everything requires tactics. Certain things require, that personal touch that Judo brings. It's being a leader is not just about finding the most efficient way to complete a task. It's doing it so that everybody is on board. And I don't know. He is a really good leader.
yeah,
And honestly, uh, for me, kind of he might be beating out Yamato for me is like a good Red.
yeah. I was gonna like actually like save some of my Zyuohger points like towards like the end because like I felt like this series like as a whole just reminded me a lot of that series. I
Yeah.
think for Zyuohger, um, like they kind of like had like the same kind of like team dynamics where like Red is always kind of like one off with like everyone, but I think for George specifically, each of the members kind of had like another member that they were like a lot closer to.
Mm-hmm.
Like remember like yellow and blue fighting all the time,
Yeah.
and then like everyone is like giving green shit, and then Pink's just kind of like off on her own. She usually only talks to like maybe Yamato or Blue,
Yeah.
so I think like they had like more defined like relationships
Mm-hmm.
in that series, whereas in here they're a bit more vague. Like they kind of like randomly get paired. I think we have like the high schoolers, kind of like Tamatomo, Juru, and Senna, kind of
Mm-hmm.
being their own like clique, and then Blue and Pink are just like super busy with their actual work lives, so they
But
just
then
kind of
but then you have the dynamic of the two cool dudes. Um Oh, I
Yeah,
guess that's really just it. But I feel like
yeah. It
in
only
that
showed up
sense,
once.
in that sense, like they them not having like defined close knit relationships really just means like they have a really good relationship just all around with each other. They all sort of mesh well with each other.
Yeah, I think for Georgia, they just had like history in that other world, so that
Yeah.
they just kind of like brought that in frequently.
Hmm.
But for this one, you know,
Yeah.
it's its own thing. I don't want to dwell on another
Yeah.
series too long.
So let's dive into characters. We've talked at length about Judo, so let's highlight some of the other ones.
Yo, let's knock out Pink real quick. So again, like they shaft the Pink Ranger, in terms of like character development and screen time, but I think they at least gave her a pretty decent one at the very beginning,
Mm-hmm.
kind of showing her resolve to be where she is today.
Mm-hmm.
And I think her supporting Senna kind of like throughout the series, I really like that relationship. It's like a
Yeah, yeah.
like they're siblings basically.
My
Um,
like your one of your least favorite and one of my favorite episodes was the split Senna episodes, and the fact that she went through like even Judo didn't say anything. He didn't do anything about it. But Pink was the
yeah,
one to go out and track down um, the part of Senna that felt the most isolated and made her feel like part of the team. Um, and
until
it
they
was
shelved her immediately afterwards, and she was never seen again.
I thought it was touching. I thought like that for me was one of those defining moments for the character. And they even nailed the memory loss episode, because I thought like oh, we have to regress this character to find out personality traits, but it was really, oh, we're going back into her history to find out more about her and see that she has been this strong the whole time. Um, I don't know. So far, for her character episodes, like I said, or like you said, not a lot, but they were really good.
Yeah, I would say so. I think like they're
Yeah.
probably some of the stronger ones. Um, I say that, but then I'm like immediately thinking of Blue, and every time he's had a focus
Oh my
episode, they've been
god.
hilarious.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
they flipped the switch on him really early. You know, like I think for Lupin Ranger versus Pad Ranger, their Blue took a long time to fully turn into that gag character,
Yeah.
but there's like we're not waiting any time for this guy. His first character episode, he is a complete buffoon, and I'm just
Yeah.
props to the actor for just kind of like putting that extra effort in there. You know, like
Hmm.
they made him do some really cheesy, corny stuff, but he just kind of like just embraced it. You know,
Yeah.
I'm
But
just
yeah, it's
yeah,
so good. Like the way he commits to the insanity of the episode. Um, yeah, it always shines. Like he is always at 11. Um,
yeah. Like he always has to like maintain that like composure, that strict form, and like kind of
mhm.
having that mirror his like fighting form was like, it's pretty neat, you know. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
um, I can't really like think of like too much because like I think that was like the crux of Blue's kind of like time. He just had like a lot of gag episodes, and
Hmm.
I think one of the earlier ones he discovered that if you make Mabushina cry, you can get power ups, and they probably use that one or two times and
Yeah.
call it a day.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
like it uh to me he did not have so much character growth, just time with him. And spending time with him. He had the one growth episode, and that was like early on, and that was Judo just learning how he wants to I don't know, portray himself and like bring him out of his shell, which was really cool. Um, and it did. change his character. He had an entire like documentary made about being more expressive. Um, and I think the only other time they attempted character growth or hinted at character growth, or at least hinted at him not growing as a character, was with the Superfan episode, where he's really bad at letting people down, and still is. And it's just like, oh hey, we're just gonna key into this really specific character flaw, and that's the episode. I think
Yeah,
that's also around the time they came back from COVID stuff. I think,
yeah, because they're
yeah.
using a lot more people.
So
Yeah,
that's another thing I did want to mention before we dive into characters again. This is just something overall for Sentai, but like, mad props to them for only taking like what, less than a month, and then coming right back and doing the same shit they've been doing as if nothing happened. Um,
uh, yeah. It never really felt like there was a lot of Corona stuff, kind of like meddling
yeah.
in with the production. Like maybe like a couple of episodes,
Mm-hmm.
like towards the beginning, if even that. I thought they did like a really good job of kind of like isolating all like the regular cast. They just
Yeah.
like only use like monsters. Um, Yo, that reminds me, like they, um, actually no, never mind. I'm thinking something else.
All right.
Go ahead, move on to another point.
Yeah. Let's head over to, I guess, the land vehicle team. I do want to touch on Tamatomo. Uh,
Yeah,
I think early on his focus episode with his crystal was very touching. It was really good. It was very solid. He reminded him of his grandpa. I don't know, and that relationship they had really made me respect Tomitomo a lot. Um, and the fact that he really seems, he doesn't seem like Batman, but like in this instance, it's sort of like in a Justice League, he's the Batman to Judy's Superman. Like, Superman's not the brightest dude. He's smart, but like, he's not a tactician. But Batman's the tactician, and he does not really care about I don't know, like the I don't want to say the
I,
logistics, but like, he's more the tactician, and I feel
yeah,
like that's a really cool dynamic for them to like key into. Um,
yeah. And I think for like that episode specifically, it was the one that like made me enjoy the machines a lot more, like
mm-hmm.
as actual characters. Because like towards the beginning, I wasn't all for that gimmick. Like you have just Mabushina just going in, just like shaking little cubes, being like, "Oh, look, it's a character." I'm just like, eh. It's just like a little toy that just has like a generic personality that's just there to like sell.
You
There's
hate
always,
that far more than I've seen anyone hate that aspect of the show.
I mean, like that's like towards the beginning, like, but like over the course of the show, like I've grown to like and enjoy those
Sure.
characters. But it's just like sometimes kind of funny when they kind of like zoom in and it's just like, I see you shaking it, like your muscles are flexing. But yeah, I think Tomatomo's and Shovelo's interactions were probably like the beginning of me
hmm
kind of like earning that or respecting the characters,
hmm
especially like him kind of like thinking of him as his grandpa, was kind of like just just being that kind of like thorn in his side of
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
entire time. It was just like a really good
They
interaction.
also did not have to show the dead grandpa on screen. That was not okay. That that did not have to happen. Um, let's talk about Senna. Unless you
You
had
you can
anything more
t-
with Tamatomo.
you can lead with Senna.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
I really like Senna. That's it. She had some fun episodes. She had the Geki Ranger episode. Um, I don't know. There was the, what is the name of that card game? The Cure of,
like hot foot, something like
yeah,
Fuda.
Pah!
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
which one.
yeah. That was a really fun one, but I feel like in terms of a lot of the in terms of the characters that showed up toward the beginning for her, I guess just that character, the one like the rival character, that didn't really get touched on toward the end. Like after the five Sennas episode, she really stopped having many character moments outside of being there and having the adorable smile.
Yeah, like honestly though, for most of the series, that's kind of what she kind of like dumbed down to.
It's
She was just
unfortunate.
um
Um,
I don't know, like I think when she is on screen, like she has like a very bright personality that kind of like
yeah,
lights it
yeah,
up.
yeah.
So like whenever she's like on screen, like it's usually very enjoyable because
Mm-hmm.
you know there's nothing like hateable about the character except for like 1/5 of it that just really didn't exist. But we're not gonna go into
God damn it.
that. Yeah, if you really want to like hear my
Yeah,
thoughts on that, just go to that review specifically. But like overall, like I found the Senate character very enjoyable. Like even for
yeah,
that
yeah,
episode,
yeah.
like they really
Well,
did well with
I don't
that.
know. I don't know about the Senna character, just the Senna presence. Because after a while, the character just started to fade away.
Yeah, she really didn't do anything like much at all. She was fast. That
Yeah,
was nice.
yeah, yeah. Um,
But she was just kind of like doing nothing with the Kirame Pink. I think Blue also somewhat falls into this territory. I think that Tomato, Tomatomo, Juru, and Silver were just kind of like the main
mm-hmm.
the main
I
guys
mean,
just like doing the action.
she had that really solid focus episode with Silver as he was like integrating himself into the team. Um,
Hmm.
but I'm struggling to really like grasp on what that lesson was or what she had gotten or what they'd shown of her character in that instance. I just remember it being pretty good.
Yeah, I honestly forgot about the episode
Yeah,
like
it's
entirely.
it's
I even forgot
unfortunate
about
that
the
it's
Hanafuda one.
yeah. I only bring it up because unfortunately, parts of her character are a little forgettable. Um,
Yeah,
eh,
they're forgettable. I mean, parts of them are, but I think the main parts are very strong, and I think they just tied really well in
well,
with like the gimmick of the week for various episodes. Like,
like
uh,
her whole gimmick is running, but like Blue's whole gimmick is tied to his character and being goofy the whole time, like incidentally. Hers is just a trait, and Blue's is an action that we can like see him do.
yeah, his tend to be better, but I'm trying to say good things about Senna. I don't want to
I'm
fall down that
trying.
rabbit hole.
Yeah, like it's strange because I like her a lot, but I'm suddenly at a loss for like reasons to like her. You know what I
All
mean?
right. Well, that reminds me of another character, Yodona, who kind of falls
Oh,
under that same.
are we gonna skip through
Are,
the team?
oh, I forgot about a very
Yeah.
a very gray ranger.
Silver, whose sash decided to change every now and again.
uh,
Um,
yeah. Okay, I guess we can go back to like the protagonist. I wanted to just shake things up because
I like he started out not great and slowly got better.
yeah,
And by virtue of Juru breaking down those walls and him being part of the team, um, he brought the uh, plot with him, I guess, with the Granter Stones. That was interesting, but like toward the end, I feel like a really integral part of his character was just sort of made up on the spot with the sword fight, like the honorable sword fight thing that they did, um, which also was sort of breaking down any goodwill that I had for King Aradin, because like they had the fight, his brother was gonna cheat, and then he stopped him, like King Araden stopped him from killing his son, and then just let him continue existing inside the kingdom.
Yeah. Takamichi's backstories were horrendous. Like straight up, like even the first one where he kind of gets the silver stone kind of embedded to him to, bring him back to life.
Yeah.
And he was just like, you know what? You're my dad now. Like, are you kidding? Like, there's nothing stopping him from going back to Earth, which
Yeah.
is one thing. And like, there's no reason for him to be adopted by King Oraden. Like, what kind of relationship did he have with his father that just made him want to sever all ties completely with him?
Yeah, there's you can go back home. Nothing's stopping you. Your dad died just off screen. We don't know what happened to him.
I mean, he probably
Um,
just got old.
yeah, yeah, probably that. But like, did you even show up? I don't know. I'm glad they brought up later that Mabushina always felt bad that he had taken away a brother from Pen Pineapple Apple Pen Man.
Yeah, but that was his choice too. Like, he didn't care that much.
Yeah, I guess so.
Um, like there's that, like, and like just the whole BS thing with like the sword fight. But I think once he's kind of like with the team, when he's just like randomly running into a fight, screaming like shining, and like
Yeah,
just like the sound effects just associated with his like drill. I don't know. I just enjoy his fights so much,
yeah.
at least like early on, that when he's just kind of like warming up like the rest of the crew and cast, I kind of like enjoyed him. Like he had pretty decent chemistry with them towards like the middle of
Hmm.
the season. So I'm like, he's all right. I think some of the he's had a lot more highlight um parts for like a recent Sixth Ranger. Usually like they don't get much like significant development to them.
Yeah.
Usually just like, oh look, new Shiny Ranger episode 10, and then like 2 or 3 episodes later they're just meh. Like maybe they have a rival within like the villain organization, and usually it doesn't get like resolved in a satisfying way. But for this guy, like he's just had like a lot of like really pop off moments, probably because he's so integrated with the plot, literally brings him with it,
Yeah.
or brings the plot with him. And I think his entrance in the final fight is definitely giving me some recency bias. So overall, I think I'm gonna have like a positive
Yeah.
memory of him.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's sort of like Senna, where like his character just sort of kind of dissolved toward the end. Outside of him just being part of the aesthetic.
Yeah,
Um, do we want to finish up here the main team with Judo? Because we did
we
talk
talked.
about him a lot already.
I think we already talked him to death, but
That's fair.
I think we can just kind of like the other points that we do have left with him. I think we can talk about when we talk about the villains,
Sure.
because I think that's yeah.
Well, we still have a few allies to talk about, like Mabushina.
Useless. Um,
Yeah, they really they tried to give her relevance. I'll commend them for trying, but it just never really worked out. And then suddenly she's just queen now. Um,
I mean, technically she did find them, so she
that's
did.
true.
She technically did pull a lot of weight, like early on, and sporadic. Like I think 1 or 2 episodes when the entire team was like incapacitated, she would have to show up and get the job done. I think it's
Uh
like
huh.
the Red Rover episode when they're just playing that stop and go game with Crunchula,
Oh, that
and
was
it's
so
something
good.
like yeah, there's like
Yeah.
another one towards the end, I think, but you can't really expect much from those types of ally characters, and
Yeah.
she probably did a way better job than most.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where I stand.
Yeah. And
I,
also, By extension, I feel like you could sort of just start lumping in her family as well. The mom happened for an episode. The dad just hates them. He hates all of them.
Dude,
He doesn't want to be
you know
anywhere
what?
near them.
Let me go back to the mom real quick. That character did not have to exist at all. 100%. You could have skipped over that completely, and
Yeah.
it wouldn't have affected anything. Orden, though, he definitely was just like, he's cool. I love his design, and then just
Yeah. Suddenly, he hated his children. And then also he let the almost murderer of his child just roam free
yeah, okay,
on
but
his planet in the palace.
that makes sense because like he hated his children, so like
So let him
why?
kill him.
But not okay. You can't just let him kill one of your children.
You don't
Like,
have to tell them that you saw that go down.
yeah, yeah, but like Garza's probably gonna let everyone know and just create like a whole mess. He doesn't want to clean up Garza's mess.
Sure.
So it's just like what? It's a lot cleaner if I just like tell him not here, not today. But I could see him just kind of like, nah, it was just Takamichi. Like
hmm
let's kind of go.
Also, the brother, the lab tech, the pen pineapple apple pen man. He was a
Yeah,
wonderful presence to have around. He
yeah.
did seem a bit like set dressing, like Mabushina, except you knew he was actually up to something, like he was working on something most of the time, except for I guess when he was stealing people's food and then also going to a manga signing. Maybe he seemed a lot more busy than he actually was. But
I mean, he does maintenance on the machines, so
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
um, I, yeah, he technically does a lot, but I don't know. I feel like gag wise, I think I enjoyed the old dude from You Soldier like a little bit more, even though like the pineapple pen dude has had some clever references to his previous work.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed whenever that popped up. Um, but overall, he was all right.
Yeah, and I really loved his episode where he didn't become a ranger, and that will stick with me, because it, it it basically told us in the audience to our face that you do not need to have a suit to be a hero. We will make a suit specifically for you to want him to have one, and then tell you that he doesn't need it, and that is not his function. I thought that was really great. Like it really subverted what we typically expect out of shows like this. Like, okay, finally, he is important now because he has suit. And now he is part of, the Sentai history. No, he's part of Sentai history because he helped support the team. Um, and I appreciate that about him and his character.
Yeah, but he could also help and support the team and have the suit.
He can, yeah, but like I feel like they were putting their foot down and saying these characters, these background characters are still important, whether they're in a suit or not.
Okay, that's real nice.
Yeah,
But I would have really enjoyed a Gold Ranger wearing that Hawaiian shirt. I thought that would have been a beautiful aesthetic.
would have been cool,
I thought we
but
got cheated out of that. At least in like a dream sequence, just for like 10, 15 seconds, just a little bit of that.
yeah.
But yeah, overall pretty decent stuff.
hmm All right. Let's move on to some villains then. Oh wait, no, we have the machines, which they also became set dressing toward the end, a lot quicker than all the other characters. And that makes sense because they are the mecha. But I really appreciate that they went out of their way to give them characters. The two that stand out to me that, you know, sort of not transcend the background nature, but like at least went a little more above and beyond, were Fire and Shovelo. Because Fire had that really nice heart to heart with Juru, and plenty of really good moments. And like when they body swapped, Fire was able to bring out the best in a kid by bringing a different perspective on how to teach kids art and how to enrich their lives through art and making them feel accepted. And I guess just babysitting Buster's kid. Um, and then Shovelo had the episode where he actually had like he had agency. He wanted to do something for Tomatomo. I'm going to dig up these guys, or at least trick everyone into digging up these gems and turn them into Tomatomo's team. I want to do that. Like, he had a focus episode for a little bit. He had a
Yeah,
plan. Like, he didn't have to talk to anybody else about it. He just did it.
Yeah, he was like an active part of it too. It's not
Yeah.
just like the plot happened around him.
His character had agency.
Yeah, and like when you kind of like think about the rest of the team, Helico straight up was boring. I really hated that character. Blue, I honestly forgot what he's like, and
He's the sidekick. He's the hype man.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I guess. But like I think Shuffalo just does that way better.
Yeah. Also, Green's a pervert.
He is.
Yes.
But I really enjoyed him as a character. He was so funny. The way he would simp after a Senna was so
Jesus
so
Christ, yeah. And like Senna was weirdly okay with it happening.
I was waiting for like one of the machines to be like, dude, you're a rock. Oh man.
Yeah. You want to move on to the villains now?
Yes.
All right. Let's see here. I don't want to start with Garza. Let's end with him. Let's go worst to best. And for me, I feel like
Oh yeah, the sniper dude. Why did he only show up for one episode?
Hold on. I said worst to best. He's one. I liked him. Um, I just want to talk about the Yodon Emperor, because he just amounted to, oh, we found a trick to do with the stuff we already had, and now he's down, and we win. It sucks, but he was a weak main villain, but I felt like that was a little more in service of the rest of the show, the rest of the characters. Like, I'm fine with him taking such a backseat because the other characters were so strong. Um, Otherwise, I would not have as much goodwill for the show.
Yeah, I think like some of his dynamics with like Garza kind of helped make him feel more of a threat.
Sure.
Especially when he just like straight up kills him. But his interactions with like the rest of the Kiramagers, like the type of threat he pulls towards like them isn't like the same. Like I guess towards like the earlier episodes he was pretty dang strong. So like I'll just take that word back. Like he was easily like way stronger than any of them would have like envisioned. He kind of needed the 4 Grantor Stones to even like have a chance at beating him.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that power scaling wise he was done correctly. It's just like that last episode which just felt really lackluster because they beat him so easily. Like they
Yeah. Because like I get, you can have a meaningful finale without the big huge fight and explosions and stuff, but like when you don't bring out all the big guns for your final villain, it makes him look weaker in comparison.
Yeah, like even though like that was probably the strongest like they've had to like to beat him. You know, like he's easily shown himself as being the strongest villain. So there's that, but I also kind of miss the other Garza form.
Oh God, yeah, yeah.
uh,
Oh,
his
dude,
backstory
imagine
with
if instead of killing him, he just sort of absorbed him and like took that form. Because that was what a waste of a suit, huh? What a waste.
yeah, but Garza had some, cure mentality to him,
Yeah.
because he had the
Mm,
creativeness that mirrors Juru to an extent.
yeah.
Yeah, I also wish they didn't give him a backstory. No one was asking for it.
I I ended up liking it. If they oh, if we're moving to oh, wait. I
No,
thought you meant
for
Garza. Yeah, the
the
bad
the
guy.
Yoda
Yeah, yeah.
Emperor, like that whole thing of where he sucks up
Yeah,
the planet, after he beats them, he takes off the stupid helmet. Like,
it wasn't good. I didn't care, but he's not the main point of the show.
yeah,
That's where I'm landing with him. Like it's fine that he's not good because the rest of the elements of the show were so much better.
yeah,
Um yeah, right. Okay, we could talk about Sniper Guy. Showed up
shit,
once, but I really like him.
yeah. Didn't expect him to die in one episode,
Yeah,
and I was
same.
actually expecting him to show up in the opening as being that fourth major villain,
Yeah.
so we'd have balance in the opening. But no, he's just
Guess
kind of
not.
like disappointed the crap out of me. He's also a sniper who misses on purpose to group them together, even though his whole ploy is just to shoot them one by one. I thought that was kind of dumb.
I
That
don't
whole
know.
plot of his.
I liked it. I liked
I
honestly,
mean, like,
I
if
his
if your
character was
reason,
all in one episode, and I feel like we've already talked about this, but I liked his plan. I thought it raised the stakes enough, and it was an effective plot for the episode. And he felt more dangerous than the actual Yodon Emperor, or like they had more difficulty with him than they did with the Yodon Emperor.
I don't know, like the Yoda Emperor showed up for like 5 seconds, nuked the city, and left, and they couldn't do anything about it.
But like we rarely get to see any of the citizens in the city, so it's like, why do we
Yeah,
care?
but just think of the infrastructure.
All right. Let's move on to Yodana.
Yeah, I mean, she had probably one of the best debuts for a
Yeah.
villain in the show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have like her design was like amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like the character just kind of like it just really worked. They played off of like Tamatomo pretty well early on, and like the villains. Like I think like her just kind of like cruelly treating Crunchula's like little minions and
Yeah.
actually like forcing some agency out of them because they were seriously just dicking around
But
for
like
the longest time.
the way she went about things weirdly set up Crunchula's descent.
Yeah,
And I like that. Like I because he broke away from the group really makes me respect her decisions to like, screw up the plot of the episode, or at least Crunchula's stuff, um, so much more, because it actually got him to break. Um, yeah, I don't know, and she was. I don't want to say she was a much needed element, but well, I mean, she kind of was. The thing is, she shook up the enemy faction that we had already had because they were just sort of screwing around. Um, and I feel like it was effective.
yeah.
I
I
just
think her.
don't like the her ending. I thought it was going to be built into something different, and then they went a different direction immediately.
Yeah, because I felt like one thing that I was kind of like looking forward to for the villains was their interactions with the Yoda Emperor. Because
Yeah.
like we haven't really seen any of them interact. We would think that Crunchyroll would be like the most loyal. He's been probably there the longest.
Hmm.
We get like a little bit of that with him and Garza, but for Yodona, like it just didn't feel like it was look like kind of grounded. Like where did she kind of like? Uh, I guess like where did she come from doesn't really
Hmm.
like make sense in that context. Like where did Crunchyroll come from? Where did Shadon come from?
Sure.
Um, but when she was kind of like interacting with him at the very end, it felt like it just didn't like follow the rest of her character. Like she's like trying to like understand human emotions for like the longest time, and then like at the very end, like she just gets discarded. And it's not even like in relation to like her learning the emotions, because like the Yoda Emperor says like you're my empathy and stuff, and it's like she hasn't shown any of that
Yeah.
like
Or
at
maybe it
all.
is he like he rarely works on that part of himself. That's why she had to learn emotions.
Yeah, but like she also just didn't like feel like a weakness, Like if anything, she's like a Horcrux for him. That like if he's in grave danger, just sacrifices her and just like dips, because that's kind of what he does.
That's true, yeah.
Um, I also thought that she would have like more interactions with like Tamatomo or at least like some members of the Kiramager team, but she's like pretty distant and she just kind of like goes and yells at the villains half
Hmm.
the time. Because I thought that of all the villains, she would probably be the first one to kind of get like a change of heart or something, because that's something that they were at least attempting to like develop, or maybe they're just like making fun of the fact she's like, oh, haha, this is this emotion, ha 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 ha, I'm evil, this is
Yeah, I don't
beneath me and
know.
all that shit. I don't know what they're really going for there, but it would have been like neat. I think if she kind of like got a suit, if she's like
God, yeah.
Jeremy Violet or something, that would have been pretty neat. But it just by like episode 30, it just wasn't happening. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay,
Um,
whatever.
I want to talk about Garza now.
Yes.
The dude was absolutely vicious before. And I get, their antics devolved, and like he did not reprimand Crunchula for like not fulfilling anything, and he was just having fun most of the time. But in that episode with the brothers, where he just murdered one of them, just offed him immediately, it was so good. And I really wish we had more of that throughout the show, because eventually he did just start becoming another background character. I liked
Yeah.
him. He had great presence. And that presence was always consistent. But it just went away until they wanted to upend it with backstory, which was I liked it. I liked his whole. I guess I don't want to say change of heart because it's not. It's not what happened. It's like the unbrainwashing or whatever. Um, I enjoyed it, but outside of that, he didn't get to do as much, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I think like the pacing of like the first 10 episodes was a little bit faster, and then like we'd see like him and Juru clash all the time
Hmm.
because he really hates that Kira mentality that Juru was bringing to these fights.
Yeah.
And we had some really nice sword fights between those two.
Hmm.
And I think like there was one where they were just kind of like having like a 1v1, then they have like a tie or something, just kind of breaks off, and after that, I think Yodona shows up a few episodes afterwards, and he's
Hmm.
just kind of like he shows up for a fight, loses. I'm gonna get more cure mentality out of this, or
Or
what
cow
is it, Cal
mentality. Yeah.
mentality, and then he just kind of dips. And then a lot of my enjoyment for Garza in that like mid period was his adorable ass train, making a little train noise. Oh man, when that thing shows up, I'm always happy. And then
Yeah.
like it's fighting, it's like a T-Rex, and it just can't use its arms, but it just tries anyways.
Yeah. I don't know.
Um,
I have positive feelings for him. I just wish there was a little more for him to have done.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think for that type of villain, it was nice to have one again because I felt like in the previous
Hmm.
Sentai series, we just haven't had like a villain stick around for that long.
Yeah. Well,
So
Weisel stuck around.
yeah, but like as a prominent
Yeah.
villain
All right.
villain. Yeah,
Uh, we didn't talk about Crunchula, but Crunchula's the best. I love
yeah,
Crunchula a lot. I used to
yeah.
not like him because just his mouth was out and it was disgusting. Uh, and then they all just sort of stewed together in this very wet black void, and I didn't understand it. But Crunchula inevitably became one of my favorite Kiramager characters. That cat episode turned me around. Um, it,
Yeah, they were
yeah,
banking on it.
yeah. Hey, hey, they banked on it and it worked. Um, I don't know.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
really love the gimmicks that he brought in every week and like his dynamic with his minions.
yeah,
Like he's enjoying it so much himself.
yeah.
So when he brings that, you gotta enjoy it as
Mm.
well. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Weisel and Crayon, except he's
Yeah.
not nearly as sadistic as those two can be. So so
Yeah.
that was that.
All right. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm running out of steam a little bit, so let's head into some comments, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the time, just like we gotta wrap this shit
Yeah, we
up.
do. So our first comment comes from Double the Unknown, who says, "Let's start with the bad. Ever since Tokyuja ended, I've had a major problem with the way Sentai handles villains. Villain generals over the years have become fairly unimportant and are just there to order around the monster of the week. The big bad is either completely absent for most of the show, very uninvolved, with what is going on. Wait, very absent for most of the show, very uninvolved in what is going on, or is Donamage. Still hate how they ended up treating him in the end. Garza mentioned a few times how the Yodon Emperor or the Yodon Empire had this massive army of monsters at his command, when the entire empire was just Crunchula, his creations, and the Emperor, who is also Yodana. We did see those two witches in the past, but the entire empire was empty when we saw it in the last few episodes, so it feels like the Yodon Empire was an afterthought, or a dropped idea. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like it might have been because, like, obviously, it would be really tough for them to portray a huge army if they cannot gather a bunch of people, get them tested, and have them in the show. That sounds like a logistical nightmare. So it's unfortunate. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like the true reason, but like, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm more here for or like the show to me. The strength came from the good guys, and they were just there to be the fodder, and I feel like that's good enough for me at least. Um,
Yeah, I think like towards the end, they just kind of like showed that the Jotunheim Emperor
yeah.
solos planets, anyways.
Let's see. Zenkaiger is being written by the writer of Juoja and Lupat, so I'm already expecting another uninvolved big bad, which makes things even more disappointing. As for what I liked about Kiramager, I found that the show had a lot of the charm that was missing during the era of Sentai's fall from grace. Character focus episodes didn't really feel like useless filler, and silly monster plans were actually enjoyable to see carried out. It reminds me a lot of what I enjoyed about Sentai when I first started watching the franchise. It found a refreshing way to utilize the aging tropes, and truly sparkles in comparison to the mediocre and sometimes awful shows that appear in what I like to call the Ninja era. I don't think Kira Major is in my top three, but it is for sure in my top 10, and I can honestly consider putting it in my top 5. That's a lot of math, my friend. Um, but yeah, a very, very respectable evaluation. Like, to what you're saying. the villains were unimportant, and that sucks. But in terms of putting it in your top 10, 3, 5, whatever number you choose, 8, um, it can still rank high because the strength of the show is still so much higher than the villains, and yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad you liked it. Let's move on into our last comment. VZ17, who says Kiramager was a really good series, not my favorite, but a good contender for my top 10. The suits were cool. Still salty that we did not get a Kirame Silver vinyl. The mecha was neat, even though the toys were ridiculously expensive. Don't worry, people are going to be selling them off at cheap very soon. And I loved the main characters like my boy, Juru. He was the heart and soul of the team. Tamatomo was the best second in command. Milady Senna was very energetic and badass. She even had her simp Mach complimenting her. Shiguru was awkward and funny. Sayo-san was smart and talented. I'm a simp for her. And Takemichi was a bro in any sense of the word. Even the secondary characters like the Kirame Stones were great. And Hakataminami was funny but competent. Mabushina was there, but she was good. The villains also looked great. I loved Garza's suit, both them. Emperor Yodana's design. Emperor Yodan's design was neat. Count Crunchula looked weird but cool and had an actual mouth. And Yodana was sexiness on a bun.
You don't have to read all parts of that comment.
I didn't. I didn't need to see you enjoy that. Even some of the monsters of the week looked neat, and the smaller ones that have the 80s Sentai vibe. In fact, some aspects of the Kiramager gave me 80s Sentai vibe. You mean the budget of it? Yeah, definitely. Now, the problem with this series is that it had too much filler. Don't get me wrong, the filler was still good, and some of them served to focus on the main characters for development, but we had some plot points that were put into the sidelines, like the Grantor Stones. They kind of forgot about the rest of the Kiramager's Kira mentality powers, besides Judo. Although they kind of brought back Garza's Kala mentality and talking about Garza, he got thrown into the sideline for a while and got more filler instead. I would have loved to have more episodes focus on him and the rest of the villains than filler, especially since the series got cut short because of the pandemic. Like, we did not get Emperor Yodan backstory until the very end. Yodana could have been a very interesting villain if she got more focus. Even Count Crunchilla's storyline of him turning good kind of would have been interesting. I agree with Double the Unknown that we haven't had any good villains since Tokyuger, and it's disappointing since the ones this season weren't dull, and I would have been invested if they had more focus. I agree. It is a bit of a missed opportunity. The two of you are showing me that now, but yeah, what are you gonna do? I still liked it. It was still a good time. And I feel like for me, I like status quos, and that makes me like filler or enjoy filler a lot more than normal. Like, just hanging out in the universe, in this world that they've made, is good enough for me because I appreciate the world that they've made. So that's, I don't know, that's just why I can tolerate filler a lot more. But yeah, I get what you're saying. And to me, it wasn't as fillery. I feel like filler doesn't quite describe it. It has, that word has so much negative baggage that I don't know that I would use that to describe a lot of these episodes. But it definitely didn't service the main plot as much. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, also, Judy's relationship, very adorable. I love it, and I want more of it. They should
Yeah.
give her a suit. I would like to see her in a Red Ranger suit. Anyway.
Yeah, that would work.
Yes. Are we done? I'm very tired.
Yes, we're done. We're completely done.
Alright, cool. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like the episode, hit the like button and subscribe if you want to hear more from us each week. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for watching Kiramager with us. I know this episode is coming out late, but like... Toku Week! Also, don't forget, tomorrow, we're going to be starting, or at least whenever it comes out, we're going to be starting Zenkaiger, so look forward to that. And Sabers is just happening as well. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Keep it.
Yeah, see you later.
That was too long. We went...
Yeah, we shouldn't have talked about every single character. I thought that was just like... that was way...
I feel like we used to do that. And that's why I brought it up.
Yeah, but we had like way too many characters.
I know.
And I think we hit the beats so many times. I thought we should have just like